Welcome back to the Gray Escape. Today, we're starting the shower build. Let's go! So I've been sitting in the bus just kind of contemplating how to go about doing this next project. This is the area where the shower and toilet are gonna go. So there's a lot of work that needs to be done in here. Also, the shower is only gonna come about 2/3 of the way down that window, so I've gotta figure out how to actually attach the wall to the window and waterproof that, which is gonna definitely be a challenge. But I think that the first thing that I need to do is get a nice big piece of underlayment like this. This one's not quite big enough. And put it down on the floor just to make sure that it's a completely smooth surface for me to waterproof. So I'm gonna get a nice fresh piece of 1/4 inch underlayment and just place that, glue that down to the floor and start off with making the shower base. Good morning, everybody. Today we're starting work on the shower, which is gonna go right here. Shower's gonna go there, toilet's gonna go under here and pull out into the shower when we need to use it. I know it's a tight space, but we're gonna make it work. First thing that I need to do is actually put up the bottom half of this wall. I'm gonna go cut it out now. Okay, so the shower floor is cut and glued down. I did use a little too much glue over here. I've also screwed it into the subfloor, and I know that there are some gaps here in the corners, but that's not going to be a problem later on, and you'll see why when we get to it. So the next thing that I need to do is I need to create a wall here and a wall here, and put a threshold here for where the door is gonna go. So that's what's next. When I thought I was done waterproofing, I went ahead and started working on the upper wall. In order to frame out the curved window, I traced the curve onto a piece of wood, cut it out with my jigsaw, and used pocket holes to screw it into place. I cut a piece of 1/4-inch plywood to fit, glued it into place, and then fumbled around trying to figure out how to hold it up while the glue dried, until I realized that I was just going to put FRP board over it anyway, and went ahead and screwed it into the framing. So I ran into a few problems with my original plan. The first problem is that this board, even though I glued it down, sometimes when I'm walking on it, I can hear it click. And the clicking is not from the paint being tacky, it's from the glue between my baseboard and the floor. Now I wanted to glue it so that I would only have to screw it around the exterior edge, but I've decided that I'm going to go ahead and screw this to the floor because I'm going to put another 2 coats of this waterproofing membrane on, and so the screw hole shouldn't be a problem. I'll just make sure that the screws are flush. And also, I wanted to get this waterproofed without the cover on this toilet area because it was going to be easier for me to access in order to paint it. However, I also need to waterproof the underside of the top that I'm going to put here. So I'm going to cut that, install it, caulk it. I also need the top half of this wall. There's going to be no wall here, obviously, because I need access to the toilet. But I need a wall that goes from here up to the ceiling and over. And then I need to caulk and waterproof the whole thing. So, yeah, I'm gonna have to kind of start over with this waterproofing membrane, but we do have plenty of it. So I guess I'll get started on cutting this piece here. I also want to add real quick that I'm in here with this cloth cleaning up a puddle because I'm stupid and left this window open all night and it rained last night. So I'm happy to report that the waterproofing membrane works because the puddle that was in here did not leak down onto the floor or behind the wall. It just stayed right in here. So this waterproofing membrane works. I guess I'm happy about that. So I was thinking about the wall here, and it's going to be the wall between the shower and the dinette. So on this side of the wall, I'm in the shower. On the shower side of the wall, I'm going to have FRP board to waterproof the wall, and then behind that is going to be the piece of plywood that actually makes up the structure of the wall. On the opposite side of that, because the plywood is hideous, I was going to put a piece of underlayment, which is sanded, which can be, painted to look really nice. That way when you're sitting in the dinette, you're not staring at this ugly piece of plywood like this one here. So what I decided was that I would go ahead and get a piece of underlayment, use that to make the template, and then that way I could use it to cut out the FRP board and the thicker plywood that's going to make up the front of the wall. So it has taken me, 5 hours of scribing, cutting, scribing, cutting, scribing, cutting. because obviously I'm not able to use scissors. I've had to use a jigsaw for every single cut. So let me show you what I've been doing. This is the final product, but it is the final product of many, many hours of work. So sorry for not recording that, but it was just so much. What I've done here is I took like a 1x4 and just screwed it up underneath this bench seat. That way my template would have somewhere to sit so that I could hold it with one hand and scribe with the other hand. This will result in a template that's a little bit long that'll cover the front part of this. Obviously, for this piece of plywood and the thicker piece of plywood that are actually going to sit on top of this, I'm gonna need to cut off a 1/2 inch from the bottom. However, this is actually a good length for cutting out the FRP board, because the FRP that's on the inside of the shower is going to have to come down to here instead of stopping up here. So basically what I've done is I sit this piece of wood on that piece of wood to keep it level. That way I have a reference side that is always the same. So I put it there, slide it this way up against the window, and then I've been just taking a pencil and going like this all the way around to keep it the same. It keeps the lead the same distance from the wall. And so I would do that anywhere that it was touching the wall, and anywhere that it was not touching the wall, I would wait until the next round. And it is not 100% perfect, but this is pretty damn close. Very, very close. And touching the window most of the way down, like pretty much all the way down. So I'm pretty happy with that. I'm going to go ahead and use this to cut out my FRP board and put that aside for later. And then I'm going to use it to cut out my 1/2 inch plywood. Okay, this is the final fitting of this wall. It is sitting on top of here like it's supposed to be. I will be cutting the edge of the wall up this way, but I'm not exactly sure what parallel to the floor is yet. So next step is to put a bunch of pocket holes down here. I'm going to put a couple pocket holes over here and screw it into the wall. Obviously I can't do anything over here except caulk it into place, but I can screw it to this part of the framing. And I do have to locate the beams that go this way, but there's should be one here and one here. In order to find the lengthwise beams in the ceiling here, sorry, I'm using this and it's helping me to find the magnets. So there's one there. There's one here. So I can figure out where these long beams are so that I can hook this up to those beams. Super useful tool when you don't know where the actual beams are. In order to make sure that the wall is square to the other wall, I've cut this piece of scrap 2x4 to exactly fit in between here. There's absolutely no space. I did have to wedge it in there a little bit to make it fit, but it is the exact same length as that space on the bottom. So what I'm going to do with that is temporarily mount it up here at the top, square to the wall on the right, to make sure that the top of this wall, as I'm installing it, is in the correct place. That way the door will be even. This video is getting a bit long, so I'm going to stop here. Thanks so much for watching. Like it if you liked it, subscribe if you want to see more. We'll catch you next time on The Gray Escape.